Well, if there's one tuning, one alternate guitar tuning that's associated with Celtic music more than any other, it is the infamous DADGAD, D-A-D-G-A-D. And I want to talk a little bit about what the tuning is, how it arose, how you get there, and what you can do with it. And there it is. So what is it? It is, to my interpretation, it's an altered version of Open D. I mean, you normally get there from standard tuning, but that's not how it arose. It arose, I think, as a variation of that. Now that is straight open D tuning. You can think of that as your cowboy E chord in standard. Take those notes, tune the whole thing down a whole step, and that's what you'll get. That's open D tuning. It's a D major chord. D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. And this tuning is as old as the guitar itself, I'm sure. I can't play slide guitar to save my life, but this tuning's been used for that. One finger gets you your 3-chord trick. There's your 4-chord, 5-chord. There's your 1. I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan. She used that tuning a great deal. So, what are the disadvantages? Well, how do you play D minor? You can do it, but there's that major third waiting to trip you up. And you could tune down, I guess, but then how do you play in D major? So, tuning to straight chords is a useful thing, but it's kind of limiting in a general sense. It narrows your harmonic focus, unless you want to spend the rest of your life figuring out how to play in G flat minor when you're tuned to open D. I'm sure it can be done, but whether it's worthwhile doing, I don't know. Davy Graham in 1964, so the story goes, came up with a brilliant idea, which was forget all about the third. Take that third string up to a fourth. And then you have D, A, D, G, A, D, which are the constituents of DADGAD. But think of it in terms of intervals. It goes root, fifth, root, fourth, fifth, root. There's no third. So you can play in D major very easily. You can play in D minor. And with a bit of effort, you can play in B flat. And you can play in other keys. You have three strings tuned to D. So it does, regardless of your level of virtuosity, it does favor, let's put it that way, it favors certain keys above others. But there's a lot to be explored in this tuning, and it does, for various reasons, lend itself very easily to Celtic music, to the extent that when I started playing in the 70s, this tuning was almost universal. Virtually everybody, with the exception, I think, of Artie McGlynn in Ireland, everyone played in DADGAD tuning. And I use it for, not so much for accompaniment, like many do, I use it for playing jigs and reels and airs and other things. So let me give you a little insight into how this tuning works. You have, between your third and second strings, a whole tone interval. So that's consecutive strings being part of a scale, like on the harp. So those little triads, little 3-note clusters, make it very easy to play melodies across the strings. So let's nail down a D major scale. I know scales are very tedious, but what I want to get at is the difference between that and this. Now that's a question of playing across the strings. That's what's going on. If you think of that scale, what strings are you using? 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4. But here, it goes 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. You're never using the same string twice in a row. So the result of that is that the preceding note is still sounding when you play the next note. And you can extend it. You could start there. That's 2 full octaves without hitting the same string twice in a row. Then the next thing to do would be to try different keys. And different keys are radically more difficult in DADGAD tuning. But they can be done. B flat, for example, should you want to play in B flat. I cheated there. I used the same string twice. You could do the stretch, but so the favored keys would be D. There's a D with no third. It's just D's and A's, roots and fifths. A minor, A major, C can be done, F, G, and others, B minor. There's one tune I play, The Sunset, which is an F sharp minor. There it is. So it's a beautiful tuning for articulating melodies in a way that the notes ring into one another. That's the whole ethos, I think, of DADGAD tuning. It's certainly the reason why it became so popular. And it's still, today, being explored in great detail and to great effect by many, many players. Pierre Bensazan would be one, Martin Simpson, several others. It's used a great deal still in rhythm guitar in Irish music. To an extent, people began to kind of sound the same, but there's certain players who are really using it to great effect. Again, I don't use it much for accompaniment. I use it for actually playing the tunes. And over the course of these lessons, we'll use this tuning to explore some of the dance music from Ireland and Scotland and elsewhere. Who knows? Brittany, maybe. Let's see.